them all.
Alright, the chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down, feed off. Bring in, let's feed off. Off. Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, it's one of those times where I feel like I need to put the intro music on fast forward because we've got first motion from Ship 20 down here at Starbase. John Galloway for NASASpaceflight here, bringing you some live commentary coverage of what should be another full stack of Ship 20 up on top of Booster 4. You can see both of those things on the screen right now, and we've been standing by, oh, not quite for 2 days. We've been standing by for quite some time, but let me know if you can hear us in chat. 5x5, there's already a bunch of 5x5s over there. Well, thank you for the 5x5s in chat. And I assume that you can also see the video as well. So without further ado, I'm not going to be doing this alone. Let me get some of my friends in here with us as well, starting with Mr. Ian Atkinson. Ian, we got you on comms?
Yes, sir, and this should be another exciting night, the second lift of the Chopsticks. That'll be fun to watch.
All right. What's the stat there? Is it like the third total full stack, but the second times it's been done with the Chopsticks? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the first stacking they did back in August, that was with the crane Tankzilla. Now this is the second stacking using the Chopsticks, following the one, I believe it was last month, that they did.
Excellent. So you'll hear the voice of Ian here for a little while, and then also back in the studio with me. Yep, okay, good. He's unmuted. We have Mr. Chris Bergen, the managing editor for NASASpaceflight. Chris, we got you on comms?
Good evening, or good morning, as the case may be.
Excellent. You ready to see another full stack here?
Yeah, we've been watching this all day in Starbase Live with people going on AB on the live stream saying, "Oh, is it moving? Is it moving?" No, the stabilizer's not moving. And as soon as I said, "Well, maybe I'll call it a night," the stabilizer's closed. And I thought, that's just typical. It's like they know what I'm doing. They're just teasing me on purpose now. But this is going to be exciting, so I could not miss it for the world.
Excellent. So Chris and Ian, thank you so much for joining us here. Also, in comms joining us today is the pad. We actually have live audio from next to the pad there. If you were watching Starbase Live, you probably would have heard some very loud venting noises. You know how they make the announcements that are like, danger, loud venting occurring at the orbital tank farm? Yeah, sometimes it's very loud venting, and we actually have some of that audio coming live from the camera position here right across from the pad as we hear that stuff. I'm going to be trying to manage that because every now and then it gets ridiculously loud. But like right now, chat, y'all help me out with this.
Sorry, Dos, but ship's pivoting, or at least it pivoted about a foot.
Excellent. Thank you, Ian. It sounds like the whole ship rolled on the ship axis, or the chopsticks pivoted on the chopstick axis?
Yeah, the Chopsticks pivoted on their axis, so to the left relative to the Chopsticks.
Excellent. So again, more motion we see from all the equipment here, hoping that this thing is going to go up and land on top of the booster. But let me know, how is this right now, y'all? Is this background audio too much? Should I turn it down? Should I turn it up? Can you still hear us?
And as you say that, it's pivoting again. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, so that's the loud venting that I was talking about. Right on cue, as soon as I ask how it is, that is the sounds live from the pad there. If that happens again, I will turn that down a little bit. But that's loud venting. But now that the loud venting's over, you can understand us correctly, right? Ian, Chris, say hi real quick. If they can understand you.
Yes, I hope so.
Ian?
Hello.
All right, could y'all hear Chris and Ian there, or do we need to turn the background down a little bit more? First time we've actually had this mic deployed this close on a commentary stream, so I want to make sure you can still understand us.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone say I could be louder. I'm quite loud as it is already. In person. Maybe not on microphone.
All right. We can understand most of what NASASpaceflight says. Nice. All right, cool. So just making sure, y'all, give us some feedback. I'm going to try to balance out those super loud venting noises.
Oh, and
as
we're
we
going
sort
up.
of go here. Yeah.
Well, hey,
Perfect timing. Nice, Ian.
This is a great angle as well because we can see the cradle, which we all watched. I remember when they were constructing the chopsticks from Mechazilla, and the cradle looked like they were the sticks. They looked like they were going to grab hold of the booster, but they were just for the tower. So it's great seeing this all come together because when we see this process again, a little pimp here about the latest video on site, when we see the construction of these devices at the Kennedy Space Center, thanks to our flyover videos, we'll be able to know what each part is for. So I'm going to link that in chat because I just mentioned it, so I need to link it now.
Go ahead and link it up, Chris. If y'all don't know, we have been doing flyovers down at the Cape. You know they're sort of doing a Starbase 2 Starship Boogaloo. Can that tanker be going towards the pad right now? Is this the thing? Hang on.
Where's he going?
Did it decide not to go?
It's like, what is going on?
There's just a ship floating.
Whoop, I got it.
Wait till he gets home tonight. He's like, have a good day at work. Yeah, well, there was this thing and it was like making loud noises in the air.
That's me turning that down a little bit there because that is that jet engine scream venting happening at the pad. But here we've also brought up, this is a view from Mary. Mary is out this evening as well with her camera, and she is bringing us this view out at a safe distance. They did back everybody off to what we'd call the hard checkpoint. People not, well, except for that truck driver, I guess. The public not allowed to go past that hard checkpoint, but Mary is at the hard checkpoint, and you can definitely see that Starship S20. I don't think I'm supposed to say it that way, but whatever. That S20 is in the air. There's a lot of daylight underneath the ship there. Ian, Chris, what do y'all think about this?
I love this. This is great. I mean, this is what we all saw when they were constructing. I go back to the construction phase of this, when they started putting the first sections of the tower in. We're thinking, how tall will this go? We had measurements and whatever, but you can't until you actually see it being constructed. A bit like the wide bay. You've got an idea it's bigger than the high bay, but then when you see it being built, you think, wow, that is really big. And just to see this tower, we've seen launch towers being constructed before at various launch sites, but never with a cradle system that lifts the ship and basically stacks it. We knew about Elon's plans, which we thought were a joke at the time, about catching boosters and catching starships, but not the stacking part, and that came later. And this is the second time now, it's the second time we've seen what will be the third stack of booster 4 on ship 20, but the second time with the chopsticks. Practice makes perfect, and the speed at which they'll do this, not that I'm trying to rush them or anything like that, but the speed they'll do this will be a good testament to how much practice they gain from this, and that'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And actually, speaking of speed, I did a little nerd thing, and comparing it to the rings on Booster 4, the chopsticks are moving up at about 0.125 meters per second, or if you're in the US, 0.412 feet per second.
Or if in the UK, we do both. We do both, yeah, so we're multidextrous.
if you're going to be confusing enough.
Yeah. Also, can I just make a point about the TPS? When we saw the initial cryo testing of Ship 20 and the tiles popping off, especially in static fire, that was partly to do with the fact that it was held down on a mount, and that gives it more vibration, so you expect the tiles to fall off. But ever since then, the tiles have stayed pretty much in place. They've been a testament to how much they've advanced on the way the application of TPS, because we're seeing down in Mary and Nick's videos, at the production site, they're now putting tiles on like nose cones for 24 and ships like that. And I'm sure they've gained so much experience from the Ship 20 being TPS'd. And if you look back at Rocket Garden, you can see the small patches of TPS that are being put on SM-15 and Ship 16. You've got to call them in that way, because they changed the naming claimature during the transition from SM-15, which landed, and SM-16, which was retired before it even flew.
Look at this sunset shot, by the way, here, y'all.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
Wow. So I guess the road's open. Or are they letting employees through?
That one car had like a roof rack on top of it or something.
Yeah, this is strange.
You gotta hope that's an employee.
Hopefully they didn't go past the roadblock, or else they're going to have a little envelope at their door.
Yeah, I remember one. I think it was a launch stream that someone drove by with a surfboard on top of their roof rack, and I thought that's not a SpaceX employee.
It coming the wrong way once, didn't they? They were like,
Yeah.
somebody was on the beach and they didn't get cleared from the beach properly and were passing like active cryo venting or something. But that's actually a sight. Look at those. There's trucks actually driving on the road. A little bit of camera compression there, making it seem a little closer than it is. The tower and the orbital launch mount are a little bit further away from the road than some of these shots make it seem. But I wanted to point this out as well. From the southern angle, this is from our southern cameras here. Look at South Padre Island in the background.
Nice.
The buildings in the lower left, that's where you can actually watch from. So when Starship Super Heavy goes orbital, look at me, I'm positive it's going to go orbital. I want to be positive about it. That is just about, the condos you see are about 6 miles away. The beach there is about 5.25 miles away, where potentially people will be able to watch this thing test from. They were able to watch the hops from there. Are they going to not let people at Isla Blanca for orbital launches? I don't know. But either way, you could see this from South Padre there in the background right now if you were there. If we've got some super chats and questions, Ian and Chris, if y'all could help grab some of those out of the queue. If y'all got questions for us.
You want to start, Ian, or shall I start?
Yeah, absolutely. I could take care of it. So first super chat here we got from Musical Wolves asking, why is part of the nose cone missing some tiles? Did a broomstick sweep those tiles?
Oh.
I appreciate that. But actually why it's missing tiles, I'm not exactly entirely sure. I would assume maybe during some testing like a static fire or cryoproof, just from the flexing of the vehicle, maybe they popped off, but probably during some routine testing or something they popped off. But right now, no major concern because all of this is new. Like we said, Ship 20 is actually the first Starship to have any nose cone tiles altogether, so totally expected to have some problems here. This is where you should find problems. You shouldn't find problems during reentry. You should find problems here on the ground when you're doing testing so you can fix them. But all of this is normal.
You want to see something cool?
Yes.
I'm working on this camera, by the way, but...
Ooh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a little choppy. I'm working on it, but I wanted to show it before it went away from this view. It'll be recording this video as well, but that is one of our long range cameras. Also down there at the southern side. Same exact angle as this, just a lot more zoomed in. Keep going, sorry.
Very cool, though. But thank you for the support, Musical Wolves. And we also have one now from Wesley asking, I thought they needed the QD arm, which is now in pieces, to steady the booster before they could stack the ship. Maybe they're just testing a lift. And that's actually an interesting point, too. I've forgotten until right now that the QD arm is not completely assembled. They took parts of the claw off that stabilized the booster. So I'm wondering, maybe that wasn't really necessary after all, or maybe they're fine just risking not using the vehicle stabilization system. What do you guys think?
I'm at a loss on that one because I thought when they took that part off, they took two parts off, in fact. We thought, oh, well, that's going to delay the full stack again because we knew that's what they're preparing for, another full stack. But maybe, like you say, maybe they decided that's an unnecessary part, we don't need it. Or they're modifying it and they'll get some data from this full stack to see how much modification they need to do for it. So I'm a wait and see guy on that one because we did kind of think they might go back and replace it before they go for the full stack, but clearly not.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if they actually go for the lift and the stacking tonight without the stabilization system, because up until now we've thought that was kind of necessary, but if it's not necessary, that's just another part that they don't need. Save some money, save some time.
I think they do have some stabilization from the Ship 20 QD arm. So that's still there, but it's a case of how much of the system they needed, because I don't think they used all of it on the first stack, at least. Again, once they fully stack this thing, we'll see how much the ship QD arm rotates out and gets in contact between the two vehicles for that stabilization purpose, because they'll need to attach it anyway if they want to do a cryo test with this, because they will literally fill up Ship 20 with that arm halfway up the tower.
Yeah, and Infinity Explosive in chat. Oh, that's a beautiful shot right there.
Yeah, look at that.
Whoa.
Wow.
There's your Arvax.
Something sort of dangling down from the bottom there. Look at that. It's just some cables or something like that. It doesn't look like anything that's critical. It's just.
Oh, that's from the QD arm.
Oh, that's behind it.
Yep.
Aha.
Huh. But Infinity Explosive in chat was saying that they could keep it maybe on the chopsticks the whole time, so maybe the chopsticks are the stabilization system temporarily. That might be interesting to see if that happens.
Don't mind me, just,
Oh no, go right ahead. I love this.
doing camera
Don't
things.
mind me. I'm just taking screenshots for a tweet.
Oh, it's almost too much. Look at that. Jeez.
Oh.
I love it.
And of course, they're Raptor 1s. Remember, they've gone to Raptor 2 now, so technically they are old engines already.
Yep. And these vehicles too, these are actually almost a year old, which is very old in Starship terms, because these were finished back in, what, July of last year? So about 9 months old or so. So yeah, these are some old vehicles, but it's going to be interesting to see what vehicles come up after this.
Oh, Merry tweet. So let's get that into chat so everyone can see it. I'm pretty sure the majority of people in this chat are already following Mary, but there you go. Fun point out, Mary's got 215,800 followers. Now, take into account Mary tweets very kind of like on topic with what she covers. That's a lot of followers. That really is a lot. I mean, I've been on Twitter a hell of a lot longer than she has, and I've got 325, and I tweet about everything, including Shell. So,
And actually here, we got a comment here from Six String Simpleton asking, how long did the last 2 lifts take? And that actually brings me to an interesting point I wanted to bring up. This will be cool to watch this lift here because it'll be fun to compare to the last one. Because the last one, as we knew, was the first ever lift of a vehicle by the Chopsticks. This is the second one. So it'll be fun to see, at least to me, to see if this lift will be any quicker than the last one. I would at least assume it would be maybe quicker, but we'll have to see if they were at full.
Wow.
What are you saying before, DOS? Like before we went live, it sounds like a TIE fighter going by.
It does. Yeah, it sounds like a TIE fighter.
Oh. What a visual. That is just so weird to see. But we also have a question here from Stephen Churchill asking, do we know what they plan to do after stacking? Chris, do we know what they plan to do after stacking?
Well, after stacking, I think I'll do a cryo test, but I don't think, and I think the consensus now among the community is there on this. We don't think Booster 4 and Ship 20 will fly. I think this was always going to be very useful for ground testing. There's no negativity around that. But I think with everything the way it plays out is they'll get a lot of ground test data out of this stack, Booster 4 and Ship 20. They'll get the approvals they need from like the FAA and the PEA. And then they'll be in a position where if you look down at the production site, Booster 7 is already stacked. And they've already got 2 ships there. They've already got Booster 8 parts and Booster 9 parts in preparation. There's no reason not to move on to those, which will be more advanced and more better designed vehicles to go for that first orbital attempt. The orbital attempt will not be a catch, remember, it'll be into the ocean, but it'll still be very crucial for data. And I think they'd want to get the data from a vehicle that's more aligned with the other vehicles they've got coming along. So that makes more sense to me too. Elon has yet to officially say it, so I'm very careful not to make statements and say this is what the plan will be. But I think when Elon does present the forward plan, I would expect him to say Booster 4 and Ship 20 are not the ones going to fly if it did Booster 7 or something like that.
Gotcha. And actually, that goes right into another question I had in the queue from Green Monster asking, if 420 doesn't fly, which do you think is going to be the first orbital launch? Like maybe Booster 7, Ship 24? Because that's my personal guess.
I'm Team 724.
But I prefer 24/7.
Yeah, but you could... I think Elon's a bit upset he's not got his 420. Because I think he really wanted the 420 on April the 20th as well. I'm sure that's very much in Elon's mind. But he said it's a coincidence when he talked about how it was coming together for 420. Yeah, I think 724, providing everything goes well with the ground testing, which is going very well so far. And then they've got to get a static fire. Remember, they've not static fired a booster to the point where they'll have like a full engine set firing, even like the outer our gimbal ones. They've got the ones in the middle, the ones on the outside, and it's a case of really getting that ground testing data with a static fire test, and then being in a position to be able to launch. That I've been very cautious about. That's why I was stumbling over words there, because I didn't want to get ahead of myself. They've still got to get a full static fire at these boosters on the orbital launch mount first before they can then say, let's go for launch attempts.
Yep.
Does look like, I don't want to jinx it, it looks like the ship is actually pivoting over now.
I was just about to say, it looks like they've stopped moving upwards and now they're starting to move over.
How's this? You can really see it from here.
It's obvious. Yep. That's great. This is so cool to see.
Yep. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, this is the Chopsticks, the Mechazilla tower system. I don't even know how to describe it, being used to lift Ship 20 up to the very top of the booster. You can see the orbital launch mount there at the bottom. Booster 4 is already on the mount, and then Ship 20 is about to be on top of Booster 4. See those grid fins on the very top of the booster there, and then Ship sort of rotating, pivoting over to be stacked on top of this. The really cool thing about this is that it's all remote controlled, I guess you could say. There aren't lifts everywhere and, you know, the cranes and stuff we see and all this stuff. It's the tower doing the work. SpaceX has camera systems looking at everything, but this isn't a bunch of people on lifts saying, okay, it's good, let it down now. This is the way the tower is meant to actually perform this operation with a minimum amount of human intervention.
Yeah, and this is so cool to think, because they probably have the control room in the Stargate building, which is where they control Boca Chica operations from. So there's probably someone in there just with a joystick or with a keyboard or something, and they're controlling this launch pad from about 2 miles down the road. And that is just wacky to think about. Like, just looking at what we're seeing here and being like, okay, there is no one in that tower. There's no one around that pad controlling that. They are miles down the street using a fiber optic line. That's just crazy to think about.
There we go. We can get both angles that way. How's that?
I've got to say, we've got to compare it, but I'm sure this is faster than the previous two stackings. I really do.
It feels faster to me too.
Yeah.
Where's our spreadsheet nerd? Don't we have a spreadsheet
Yeah,
nerd
he's gone to
specifically
bed.
for that? Where's Adrian? Yeah, it's late over there, isn't it?
And we actually have a question here from Galaxpace asking, when do we think the orbital launch site at KSC will be complete?
Oh,
geez.
That's
the way they're going.
I mean, to say they've already started, I mean, if you look at the pinned in chart, the pinned link, that shows you they've already started constructing the launch tower at Roberts Road, which is down the road from KSC. We saw how fast they constructed the tower at Starbase. You can almost assume they've learned some things from the actual process at Starbase that'll apply to KSC, and they'll do it in good speed. I don't think there's a major rush for them to construct it at KSC, but I think if they wanted to get it out of the way, especially when you consider they're going to do it in between the launches they're going to conduct from 39A, end of the year, I'm going to say they could possibly, if they wanted to, by the end of this year, have a tower. I'm very hesitant to mention it too much because I think KSC's main role, provided everything goes well with the FAA and whatever reports for Starbase, providing it all goes well, Florida's mainly for your HLS kind of missions and flagship missions, we say. If things go wrong with the reports of Starbase and you have to redo some things, and they suddenly find themselves focusing on Florida like Elon had intimated in his latest presentation, then that's where they may need to speed things up. So that, I think, will be the caveat there for how fast they build that tower.
Yeah, and I think I could see it around the fall if they keep rushing. Maybe in the fall having the pad ready for basic vehicle testing. But I'm actually wondering if maybe they're just speeding up Florida right now really quick just to be safe in case the FAA doesn't go well, in case the FAA doesn't. If they say, okay, we need a full environmental assessment, which is the current nightmare scenario right now. And again, there's no inside information on how the FAA is going right now. We will find out when SpaceX finds out later this month, hopefully. But maybe they're just doing it as a backup option just to get a head start in case Boca Chica can't do orbital flights for an extended amount of time.
I will say one thing. I think the lack of information that's coming out on how that's going is a good sign. Because I know that Christian Davenport, the Washington Post, a great reporter, and you'd expect him to be the Washington Post. He's had hints before when things have not been going to plan with the FAA. And when we're doing Starship testing, he knew things in advance, such as, the FAA not being happy with certain things. He's not reported anything like that recently. So I think that's a good sign that at least we're not hearing any kind of negative overturns towards how this is going. I think the delay so far been presented as just the amount of people have replied to it. So, 19,000, I think it was 19,000, and they have to, I think, by law, have to read them all. So it's not like they can go copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. They've got to read them. So that's where the time constraints coming in there.
Yep.
Providing it is just that, then that's no problem. Hopefully don't delay it again. It's 2 weeks away, I think, now from the latest date, and we've not heard any sign of a delay coming. So fingers crossed.
Yep, I was about to say we are half a month away from hopefully the results being brought out, and that's a good sign that we haven't heard anything else yet, because at this point, any news would be we are delaying. But yeah, this is all fun to watch. And actually, there's another comment here from Joe asking, will NSF acquire a boat to have live coverage of the progress of tower assembly at 39A?
We need an East Coast jack in the kayak, don't we?
There you go, the jack of the kayak, nice.
It's actually weird to think about it. They're building a second Boca Chica right now, but we don't have all this crazy access because Boca Chica is right along a highway that you can travel and you can walk down, you could drive down. This is an extreme privilege to have this kind of camera views, like the cameras on the left and the camera on the right. That is only because this is such a public and such an accessible site. And that's such a privilege because at 39A, we don't have that. And that's why we have to do our flyover videos, which, shameless plug, flyover video just came out yesterday. Our flyover video showing the progress at Roberts Road and 39A, which even then, getting an aerial view is a very, very valuable piece of information to have.
Quickly say thank you to Anthony Lesgo for a $100 super chat, which is great generous. For a stream, especially just any stream, but it's just super generous. I'm going to read out his point here. This is a test of the connection system. They just removed the clause. So I suspect they just need to use Starship to test the connection systems, QD-ARM design, but they are also trying to get the systems working together. The ships are less important, more of the systems. More of the systems.
Interesting.
But thank you for your support. And it's good. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. And yeah, that's actually important. You need to test your ground systems because how are you gonna even cryoproof a rocket if your quick disconnect arm doesn't work? But very cool comment. Thanks, Anthony, for that. And from Matt Hicks, we also had a super chat. Thank you very much for that. No message. And Tim Fields here asking, do y'all really work for NASA?
You beat me to it.
Well, I think this is where we have to say no, unfortunately.
Look,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, for the new people here, I'm going to go through his story one more time. It'll take me 30 seconds.
Pull up a barrel.
I started a site 17 years ago, 2005, right? And I had two choices. Do I call it shuttlespaceflight.com, because we're going to cover shuttle and NASA, or NASASpaceflight.com? And there was other NASA sites out there as well, called like NASA Watch, people like that. So it was not an unusual thing, because that was the main coverage. Just people today are so used to all the different companies, they find NASA less of a kind of like a central point, even though they still are. So they call it that, and basically the name's stuck. We do call ourselves NSF quite a lot and things like that. It's quite simple. There are other sites with that name, but it's a victim of our own success that we're so widely viewed that you do get those kind of questions from people just coming in and not realizing why we call that. But there you go. There's a quick story behind it.
Got the drone in the shot here. That's why I switched over, and it's sort of framed a little bit weird. I was gonna say NASA doesn't pay us, but we do an awful lot of work for NASA.
Yeah.
Very true.
In terms of keeping people up to date and sharing what's going on, we do a lot of stuff that NASA does not do, especially out here at Starbase. NASA was sort of paused with the whole HLS lawsuit, yada, 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 and we were still bringing daily updates as to how the program was moving forward when it wasn't even a NASA thing. Even now, you just get an HLS update or something like that on occasion, and we are out here every day sharing what SpaceX is doing at Starbase. So do we work for NASA? We certainly do a lot of work for NASA, or with NASA, I guess would be the right way to say it.
And yeah, it's actually an interesting point you brought up. We are sitting here watching the stacking of a prototype for the next human lunar lander. And not only that, this is quite simply, this is the second rocket of the Artemis program. Obviously, SLS is the first and the main rocket, but this is the second rocket, the other rocket of the Artemis program. And I think that's another important point to drive home here. We're not just watching two tin cans being stacked together using some chopsticks. This is the beginning of history, kind of.
By the way, a question here just from Mike, and I want to go back to this because we were talking about it earlier. It's a good question. Mike just asks, don't forget how long it was taking to build the LMP, which was basically need to get the work done there as well. I'm going to refer back to something else as well, that the orbital launch mount itself, we saw the initial pillars of that being built well in advance of the tower. And that was foundation work, and that took a long time. I would point out that 39A, there's a lot of work going on there right now, especially if you've seen the latest video, which I pinned in the top of the comments. But it literally is, that's what they're doing now. So they're almost consolidating what they're doing there. They're building a tower at Roberts Road, keeping it out of the way, getting the tower sector ready so they can roll to KSC and be stacked into the tower. But they are currently already working on the base and the platform of the mount. So that is something where they're probably expediting it compared to Starbase. That's what I point out.
Yeah, and to another point is that the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center is the second launch pad they've built. There have inevitably, if you're familiar with engineering, there's going to be inevitably lessons learned from the Boca Chica construction that are going to make Kennedy Space Center's launch pad not only faster to construct, but also a better end product. So it would not be surprising to me to see Kennedy Space Center have an even quicker buildup than Boca Chica did, given the lessons learned along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of it, you know.
And look at that engine shot. I just have a fascination with rocket engines, in case none of you knew. I just love looking at that. And we have a super chat here from Mark Hamill asking, are they testing the connection points between Ship 20 and Booster 4? Because Booster 4 has its connection points extended. What do you think, Chris? Are they testing the connection points?
Yeah, I don't think that's the entire main purpose of this stacking. I think the main stack is they've been stacking it for a cryo test. That's what we're expecting to happen. It's not, it's not set in stone, but that's what I'm kind of hoping for as well. That would make the reason for a third stacking viable. But at the same time, every time they do conduct this test or this stacking process, they learn from that. So they get extra data from that, and they can do things like he's just been mentioned there with the connection test. So it's all like several tests in one. It's a question of what you class as the main test for this stacking, which I really do think will be a cryo testing, hopefully this week.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing interesting to notice here, the connection points between Ship 20 and Booster 4 are an old design because, like we said before, these ships are about 9 months or so old, which is old for Starship. On Booster 7 and later, there are actually different types of connection points. That's why Ship 20 can't connect to, say, Booster 7, and Booster 4 can't connect to, say, Ship 24 because they're using different and probably improved attachment points across the newer systems. And another super chat here from Sticky Pod with no message, but thank you very much for the support. And then Thomas here asking, what if they loaded crew into Starship and then used the chopsticks to stack? Would they not need a crew arm then?
That's amazing.
I mean, that would be very efficient.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. I think that'd be a fun ride, like a pre-launch show, wouldn't it? Like, you have to do a little launch first, then stack it, and then you want a proper launch.
Yeah.
It's like a pre-launch.
I mean, no, I mean, that's not what will happen, but all of a sudden I want it to happen. No,
I mean,
just
honestly,
amazing.
Look at this. You can see the arm swinging back into place, y'all. The quick disconnect arm. It used to be a stabilizer arm, but it was actually quite rapidly moving there.
They are doing a lot of multitasking here. Very cool. And a super chat here from Jerwa, saying $50 for the DOS Gator Cam Fund.
Well, hey, by the way, that's very generous, by the way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for the support. Unfortunately, I don't think we can attach cameras to gators. I think PETA would be a little mad about that, but...
So you got to get a big rubber alligator, and then you get inside of it like a mini submarine? It's a James Bond thing. I think it was a crocodile, though, in James Bond. I don't know if it was an alligator. I think it was a crocodile. Sure, we can
I can
figure
just
it out.
imagine Doss now in camo, in an alligator suit, just trudging through the swamp like 3 miles.
Nah, I just build this stuff. I send Jack in it.
Make his kayak look like an alligator. They'll never catch him.
Definitely
And
live
from
stream that.
and from Plus Money here asking, are they going to fuel today? Is this a wet dress rehearsal? That's a good question. I don't believe we have any road closures suitable for a cryoproof today, do we?
Not today. No, I mean, well, technically could, but I think really it'll just take a while for them to make sure the connections are correct, and then they'll need to do probably a lot more into liquid nitrogen deliveries. We saw some arrive, but not really enough for what would class as a test. It's usually wave after wave of tanker. So I think that'll probably be at the very earliest tomorrow. The very earliest tomorrow.
Gotcha. And that'll be cool to see. We've never seen a full stack cryoproof, nor have we actually seen any testing of a ship on top of a booster yet.
See, my question is if they're going to just do a Ship 20 cryo test, but then they'll need to at least pressurize the booster because of the weight of it on top of it. So my hope is they'll do a full stack, just for the sake of doing a full stack. But I think this is more about Ship 20 being cryo-proofed as a full stack. But again, you do need to do something with the boost at the same time because of the weight of it.
Gotcha. And Thomas, you're pointing out what I was talking about before. As of Thursday, we're going to have 2 new moon rockets on the pad. That is if they keep this vehicle stacked on the pad. But that would be a cool dual cam shot if we could have half the screen be this and half the screen be the rollout.
If we could have that. Come on, Ian. You know who you're working with here. We can do that.
Just suggesting ideas on air to be like, hey, look at the 2 Artemis rockets.
I love it. That is a great idea.
That is awesome. Good idea, Thomas. Thank you.
I mean, I think I'll just quickly say I don't think that was ever the thought behind this, but I do kind of think so. In the back of Elon's mind, I was thinking, well, if we have a full stack Starship on the pad while they roll at SLS, that's kind of like a one-upmanship.
Yeah.
He'll never say anything bad. I mean, he's only said it once on Twitter, but I think he didn't mean it. You know, NASA and SpaceX work so close together, need each other. They'll never get into a position of them versus us. It's something where they do work together, and I don't think they'll ever publicly say anything, but I know for a fact Elon will not like SLS for various reasons. The cost of it's not reusable, and I think having a full stack reusable vehicle on the pad, even though it's probably not going to launch, is kind of like a statement in its own way.
Yep. Yeah, and like you said, that's another important thing to remember. NASA and SpaceX are not competitors. NASA's not out here to make money. SpaceX is. Yep. NASA and SpaceX work hand in hand. In fact, NASA saved SpaceX from bankruptcy, as the famous story goes.
Yep.
SpaceX was on the brink of bankruptcy, literally about a week or 2 away from going bankrupt. And then NASA dropped a $2 billion contract to resupply the International Space Station and saved SpaceX back in 2008. We would not be looking at this had NASA not chosen SpaceX for that. We would not be here. This would just be empty marshland in Texas, and that would be it. So NASA is the reason why we're all here, and there's no competition between NASA and SpaceX, just cooperation. And Nerdly Knight asking here, I don't know what this means really. Das or Chris can maybe clarify. Is NSF a 501c-3?
No. Yeah, we are not a 501c3 nonprofit.
Gotcha. See, I don't know what those fancy terms mean. But thank you for the support, though, Nerdly Knight. And then
look at this.
Ooh.
It's pretty rapidly going down. And it's such a great shot. Do you see the little tab and slot there?
Yeah.
Right in the middle? You can see
how
that
center.
Yeah, pretty close. You see how that tab sticks up from the booster, and it's going to fit into the slot on the bottom of the ship there. That's right where those big flaps are, the aft flaps on the ship. But I think we'll even be able to see that get aligned, if not be aligned by the tab and slot system that they've got in place.
Neat. And actually, on topic here, Andres, I believe, saying, have you noticed a tiny patch of heat shield that's placed on the front face of the ship?
Oh, yes.
That little, right above the right grid fin, there's a little patch of 6 heat shield tiles. That's interesting.
Very observant.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's maybe just for vibration testing, just to see what'll happen, or maybe they actually need those. They figured out.
I wonder if there's an equivalent around the other side as well, because that might be related to the grid fin. Look at positioning of it.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is interesting. That's very observant. I mean, we're looking at it. I wouldn't have noticed it unless he's mentioned that.
Yeah, and coming off the grid fin topic, Jason is asking, why is one of the grid fins turned?
Yeah,
So not on this side, but the other side, there is
we
one
don't
grid
know.
fin turned.
Yeah.
That side?
It was a
That grid fin? I wonder if they had to turn it to like get it out of the way for the QD arm or something.
oh, that might make sense.
Oh,
You
actually,
know?
yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
it kind of lines up perfectly.
Yeah, I can pull all the footage off this camera and we could time lapse it to see if it like squaggled out of the way as the arm came around or something.
I think it's been like that for a few days, though.
Yeah, it was like that before. Huh, I don't know.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a
Jinx.
rebel fin. We were calling it internally because it was the odd one out. The black sheep of the fin family.
Oh, that's cool to see. I just love watching this, the close up here.
I mean, the one thing about the close-ups is we've got to appreciate how big this vehicle is. It's the world's biggest ever rocket, and that's saying something. Where you could think of Saturn V. I've been doing a lot of Saturn Saturdays on Twitter in comparison to Shuttle Sunday, and the size of the Saturn V vehicle, in comparison to the people who are walking beside it, is huge. And this vehicle's larger. This vehicle's taller. It's a stunning vehicle. I really do hope it works, because if it does, it's a game changer for capability. Not just from its capability standpoint and its size, but also the fact that it's reusable, and that's the game changer.
Yeah, and I'm a Saturn V. I'm as much of a Saturn V fan as you are a shuttle fan, Chris. So it's kind of hurt a little bit to see the Saturn V lose the torch of being the tallest rocket ever, but I think it's being taken by good hands here. I'm excited to see where Starship goes, and I think it's going to kind of follow in the footsteps of being a mix of Saturn V and shuttle. What the shuttle was meant to be, but with the Saturn V capabilities.
Someone gets very angry at me. I don't know. I can't remember it. Someone in chat before got very angry at me. Says he's going to say it again. He's going to say Starship is what shuttle always wanted to be. He's going to say it again. I was like, seriously, if you think about
the
it,
words.
they do look they're completely different vehicles, and the reusability thing comes in, but the reusability of shuttle was only the orbiter, partly the boosters, because they came back, but they were basically taken apart in the casings and refurbished and reused again. That was it. The external tank was basically exploded over the Indian Ocean and never get to be seen again. So the reusability of shuttle was only to a part. It was mainly the orbiter, and there was a heck of a lot of refurbishment between flights. This vehicle's different. This vehicle's very different in that respect. But we're talking about in comparison to reusable capability. The shuttle, for all its faults, and you can love shuttle, and it mainly love shuttle from all its faults as well, because you've got to understand it was not a great vehicle from a design standpoint at all. The fact that they made it work so many times is a testament to the vehicle and the engineers. That's why I find a fascination with it. But this vehicle here, this brings extra capability, the full reusability, and rapid reusability. Shuttle was never rapidly reusable, never. And it was always envisioned to be, but it never was. So that's where there's a big difference between the two.
Yep. And also, too, the shuttle, like, for all its faults, like you said, it wasn't rapidly reusable, but it really paved the path and really cleared the way for any type of reusable spacecraft. There were so many lessons learned. And actually, the heat shield tiles here are derived from shuttle materials, if I recall correctly. So there's so much that was learned from shuttle that even Falcon 9 would not be here were it not for the space shuttle. Starship would not be here if it were not for Falcon 9. So the space shuttle, for all its faults, and even though it didn't live up to exactly the dreams that they had entailed in the 70s for it, it is absolutely paramount, and it was a necessity to get to where we are today. And a question here from Mark asking, we've only seen one successful landing by SN15. Why do you think further consolidation of flights, or why do you think further flights of Starship were not conducted? Was one successful flight actually enough, do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, if you look back to the first tests, which were the 150-meter hops of SM5 and SN6. SM5 went well. That was a great success for a test, for the first ever kind of test of what was basically just the ship minus an cone with a mass simulator on top. Then they did SN6 to repeat the test, and that went well as well. At that point, SpaceX thought, we've achieved what we want to do in these milestones, let's move on to the next phase of testing. And of course, with ships 10, 15 kilometer hops, they had a mix of successes, and they refined it to the point where they got the full success with SM15. And I'm sure they're in the same position there going, well, look, you know, we could keep going with this, we could go with ship 16 next and do the same thing again. Or do we then advance now to the booster phase and go with the booster and ship combination? And I think just the way that they're looking for a fast progress towards what their ultimate goal of achieving a city on Mars, that they don't want to start playing around with testing too much. If they get the test objectives and they get the data they want, move on to the next phase. And I think that's all it was. Just the drive behind SpaceX to say, these are our objectives. When we achieve it, we can move on to the next one. And this is the next one now, the orbital test. It's all on the orbital test.
Well said. I'm going to run through some super chats here while we have a moment. From Matt here saying, glad to hear the boss Chris is on stream.
At 1 a.m.
Nice. Hey, you said you couldn't miss it. Like.
Oh, no, I'm not complaining at all. I'm enjoying this. It's great fun.
You made your choice.
Yeah. They forced me. They got me out of bed. No, I'm joking.
They forced you. We pinged him. We DM'd him and pinged him and said,
Yeah.
Chris, wake up, emergency.
No, I mean, seriously, how can you miss this? Look at this.
Is that the
What a
light of the
sight that
drone off the side there? It looks like the
Yes,
light. It's
like
like
it.
a little blinky light of the drone.
Wow.
But it's just about to touch down. Look at this. It's lining up, it looks like.
Yep.
I've got to say, it's not the crude version yet with the fancy windows and all the, you know, the bells and whistles. It's still a beautiful ship. I really do think it's a beautiful ship. And maybe we're just so fascinated with rockets that we find any rocket beautiful, you know, even Antares, bless it. But
Hey,
this-
Antares is a beautiful rocket.
well, it's
Antares
a
is
plane.
very
It's a plane
nice.
rocket. Yeah, it's just a rocket, isn't it? This
Wallops
is
is nice.
proper-
Wallops
this
is a nice launch pad.
Yes,
Go
it
ahead.
is.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful
this
place.
is just a beautiful vehicle. It really is.
It just looks, the black and silver just look really
Yes.
nice on the ship, I think.
And just imagine this thing launching there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see that. Be it ship 20 or ship 24, that's going to be so fun to see.
Yeah.
And thank you to Chris Hancock for becoming a Red Team member. And thank you to Sticky Pod for becoming a Flight Engineer member. Thanks
Oh,
to
wow.
both of our new members. And
Yeah.
Flight
By the
Engineer.
way, speaking of memberships, we've been looking to improve that greatly, and we've advanced everything from like the pad rats get all the emojis now. I get so many emojis. I might put some in chat. Hang on, let's put some in chat. Let's put my favorite one in chat, which is this
Uh-oh.
one. Right, I think you can all guess which one it would be. There you go. That's a shuttle hug one. But also for Red Team, we've got so much content in there now. We put all the photographs in there, the high-res photographs, and we've got 4 bunches of photographs today already in there, which are just great entertainment. Preview clips going there. Capcom and above, Discord memberships. We've got a great Discord now, 2,000 members in our Discord, which is member-owned Discord as well, so it cuts down the rabble. I say, but,
Down the
apart from
rabble, he
me, I'm in
says.
there, yeah. But we're all in there. That actually is my first Discord, would you believe? I'm an old person now, and these newfangled things are new to me, but this is my first Discord now. I'm really enjoying it. It's very addictive. But we're going to have things like quiz nights, we're going to have game nights, we're going to have all sorts of things in there as well. So all these memberships, I mean, this is what really helps us a lot when you're a member of this channel, if you appreciate it enough or you can afford it, because I know everyone can't afford it. Even if they wanted to join it, they might be able to not afford it. We appreciate you all the same. But there are so many things we're planning in there. It's going to be great fun. That's my advert over.
Nice.
Shameless plug.
We're okay with it.
And Alex Andre here with a super chat saying, could Starship be used as an ICBM? I mean, I hope not. Well, actually, it probably wouldn't be a really good ICBM because ICBMs are supposed to hit the target, not gently land.
Jeez.
Surprise!
That would be just delivering a weapon.
Yeah.
Ugh. But anyway, I guess it could theoretically probably don't want that to ever happen. It's supposed to be a peaceful exploration system, and that's it. But thanks for the support, though, Alex.
You know what? On topic with that, I can make it into a viable point. Elon has said we need to make life multiplanetary because there's a good chance Earth might not be around forever. Or at least there might be some kind of major event like an asteroid or whatever. But we've seen in the recent times, there's always something where you're thinking, yeah, we do need a plan B. I think that applies today. So it's something where Elon has said he wants to make life multiplanetary by putting a city on Mars. His point is making more and more sense all the time now to me. So, and that's what Starship's going to foster. No other vehicle can do this. No other vehicle, even in planning, can achieve what he wants of putting that amount of cargo into space and onto Mars to be able to make a self-sustaining city on Mars, to have life, humanity, multiplanetary. It's a huge thing. Really, it's huge.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about. Even just going back to the moon is just, I can't even get my head around that. Just I'm going to be able to watch people walking on the moon within 5 years ish.
Yeah,
that's just super exciting to think about, and not even just watching people on the moon in like 4K.
Yeah,
that's
in 4K. Nice.
Well, especially if NASA TV's publishing. Oh no!
Oh,
too soon.
Oh, too soon.
They are upgrading to 4K, I've heard, for Artemis 1.
Yeah.
So
see, we don't work for
can't see
NASA.
that
They
for much
fired
longer.
us.
That's how you know we're not NASA. We've got HD.
We made too many
So
comments
that's it.
about the 720p streams, I guess. So
Yep. Oh dear. And from Az here with the $20 saying, I haven't been around for a while, but did the booster lifting pin get bent recently? Thanks, guys. And the lifting pin, it does kind of look bent. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be that way, the way it grabs it, but... Do you notice that, Chris? You see the lift pin?
You know what? I've been watching these things all day, all the time, and it's, maybe I've just got used to what it looks like. But to me, I think it's... to me, if they'd had a bent pin somewhere, I guarantee there'd be a bloke in a hard hat on the end of a massive crane lift, basically up there with a hammer, bashing it. Like when they sleeve the domes at the production site, there's a group of workers in there with massive sledgehammers, and they start whacking it with persuasion hammers.
Oh, it's going down. It's going
drone
down.
again. Look at the drone up there. Upper
Wow.
right-hand corner.
Wow, good piloting.
The blinking caught my eye, but it's almost down. There's just a little teeny tiny bit of air gap between the booster B4 and Ship 20. You can see the red and blue, or the red and green lights blinking on the booster as well. Those are drone navigation lights, I guess.
Imagine if the drone just lands on the grid fin.
I tell you what, I've got a drone, and they're not easy. Maybe it's
Oh, no, you're not.
maybe because I got a cheap one, but that's some piloting going on there now. So I'm sure he's down at the production site with his controller. So he'll have an onboard view, obviously, but that is still some achievement.
You think it's like collision warning, object warning,
Yeah.
like you're right next to this
low
silly
battery.
thing.
Too low.
Low battery, nice.
Oh, imagine low battery and it gets stuck on the grid fin like it's stuck in a tree.
They have to send up one of those 100-meter lifts just to get the
Oh.
drone out of the grid fin,
Those
like a
poor
fire
workers.
department.
Oh. And those grid fins are actually massive, by the way. Like, you could probably
Oh,
park
yeah.
a car on there comfortably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's not like the size of like a table or something. That is gigantic. And Eric Hutchins here with the 20 Canadian saying, excellent coverage. Thanks, guys. And thank you for the support, Eric. And Aaron here with the theory that the small patch of heat shield tiles might have relation to the engine. If we saw before with the Raptor vac, it's actually lined up perfectly with one of the Raptor vacs.
Yeah.
So
Let's invite Elon on. We'll ask him some questions.
Ask him some quick questions.
Open
Elon
invite.
will join us.
we'll give
Just like
Elon
dial in. We're like, Elon, could you join our Discord server? Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Would we give him a custom rank or just say member?
There you go.
Thomas Berg had been asking him to fill out his March Madness brackets.
Good times. We do a lot of back behind the scenes chatting in the members Discord server. So
And it actually looks like we might have touchdown. Maybe there's still a tiny gap there, or maybe that's just some shadow, but it looks like we're very close, if not touched down.
Yeah, I could probably zoom in a little bit more, but when the drone flies away, I think that's a good indication that they're done.
Oh,
The drone moved a little bit.
Oh, nearly.
Oh,
Oh, maybe they're checking out all the connections.
Look at that. There's proof. The drone operator is watching our live stream.
there you go. Yeah, thanks, drone operator. We appreciate it. Thanks for the support.
If you can hear us
Yeah.
land on the grid fin.
Land on the grid fin.
Yeah, just for your point.
Drone on grid fin, or this isn't real. Again, folks, we have been watching the stacking, the Chopsticks, the Mechazilla massive launch mount tower system that they've got down there at Starbase has stacked Ship 20 up on the top of Booster 4 for the second time ever. This massive system is designed to aid in the rapid reusability for the Starship system. It's also quite wacky because it's like some big arms we call the Chopsticks that literally grab the ship under its armpits like it's a little wee baby and just toss it up on top of the booster. But we have been watching that, and if it's not down yet, it's got like a mouse hair in between the ship and the booster there now. But this has been very cool to see. And thank you all for sharing it with us as well. That's sort of what we do here at NASA Spaceflight. If you haven't yet, make sure you thumbs up the stream. There's a little button there. It helps other people know that this might be interesting space content that they might want to see if you do the thumbs up thing there. Yeah, sub to the channel, blah, 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 ring the bell, whatever
It's
kids
free.
are saying. Yeah, it's free. Watch our streams for free. Just y'all know how to get back. If this is the sort of content you like to see spectacles like this, we've got cameras all over Starbase. We've got multiple camera positions all off the grid, solar powered. We've got crew operated cameras, things that Nick and Mary move around. We've got all sorts of ways to share with you what's going on at Starbase. And we actually stream those 24/7 on the stream called Starbase Live. Right here on the NASA Spaceflight channel, you can see our Starbase live stream always, well, I guess live. The way to put it. Let's see here. There's a couple more super chats that have come through. Let's make sure we don't leave anybody hanging in the super chat queue.
Alrighty. So we got one here from Wade, actually following on from one of the last questions we just asked about the 6 heat shield tiles right above the right grid fin there, next to the engine, so there might be some heat bleed. And yeah, like we said before, I could see that being a theory, maybe just to test out, make sure there's no thermal problems, because the last thing you want is to melt your Starship. That would not be good. So maybe that is for engine bleed, or maybe that's just testing heat shield tiles on the other side and see what they act like. Could be very interesting, but thanks for the support though. And Musical Wolves asking when broomstick membership and when broomstick merch.
Broomstick membership level is the highest membership level.
Oh. And a question here. Actually, I think Chris might be the best person for this. Might make you a little sad, though. From Sammy saying, do you think we have the technology now, engines, composites, etc., to finally be able to build Venture Star?
Oh, the
Jeez.
X-33 Venture Star with its XRS 2200 linear aerospike engines. My goodness. I spent many a internet cafe trip with the 56k modems downloading one screenshot a day from Skunkworks Lockheed Martin, just showing the construction of the X-33 from Skunkworks. That was one of my first non-shuttle loves. Yes, it could happen today. I know that for a fact because Tory Bruner, would you believe, worked on the Venture Star. And he said they were very close to solving the problem when they got cancelled, and they did solve it afterwards anyway. And with today's technology, they could have constructed the X-33 prototype at least to get round the problem with the tankage. So yes is the answer to that question.
Ah, that's sad. That would have been so cool to see.
Yeah. A wonderful SSTO, single stage to orbit.
A question from Jared. Interesting question, actually, saying slightly off topic, but with the first Falcon launch in 2010 and the last STS launch in 2011, were Falcon 9 and the shuttle on the pad at the same time? I
No.
don't know that off the top of my head.
No.
No? Gotcha. We have a new member here, Robert Clark. Thank you for being a Capcom member. Thank you for the support. And from Paramedic here with the 2 pounds. Yeah, that looks like a pound. The squigglies, as Joss says.
Pardon me, hang on, that's my currency. Pound sterling. It's the centre of the empire. It's the centre of civilization, that currency, by the way. Carry on.
Yada yada. But they're saying, please say happy birthday to my husband Harvey. Happy birthday, Harvey.
Happy birthday, Harvey.
Happy birthday.
Wiggly things.
There you go.
And Insane Cable Guy, thank you for becoming a Capcom member as well. Again, we really appreciate the support. That is exactly why we're getting views just like this of this beautiful evening at Starbase. And from Tim here with the $4.99 saying, awesome coverage tonight. Thank you, Tim, and thank you for the support. It's been a lot of fun. It's always fun to be on the live streams here.
I'm just going to go ahead and get all the zoom out of the camera I can so we can see if there's I don't see a gap anymore. Also, the drone left. But let's zoom all the way in and see what we can see.
Cool.
There's only a little bit more zoom there, but I am not seeing a gap. Are y'all?
Me neither.
That's contact light.
They have to have a light that comes on.
Oh, just in contact. Oh, that would be great. They should also have an SCE to auxiliary switch. I don't know what it would do, but
they should just do it just because.
Yeah, just if there's
have
a problem.
Tried SCE to aux?
If there's a problem, that's the problem-solving switch. You switch it, and all the problems are gone.
They should just do it as part of the normal flow. Like to turn Mechzilla on, you set SCE to aux.
Oh my god! Like LD, flip SCE to auxiliary.
There you go. Like every single launch.
I would love that. Oh.
I do believe that we can call that a full stack there. There's still some load testing and stuff that I'm sure SpaceX is doing. But from our perspective, with that daylight, nightlight, whatever, the air between Ship 20 and Booster 4 being gone now, it looks like we have yet another full stack. The third ever time this has been done in history. It's not like the third time this month, the third time this week. No, this is the third time ever that they have placed a ship on top of a booster there, once with the big crane. Originally, the first stack was with the big crane, and the last two times have been with the Chopsticks, the Mechzilla tower system.
Yeah, and once again, just proving it works.
Any final super chats we get out of the way? Because I hate leaving people. Oh, I'm in a super chat. No, we're ready for question now.
Yeah, make sure we get them. There's a couple in the queue. Make sure we get all those super chats.
Absolutely. From Acting Unit 0.8, just saying with the $20 super chat, do you remember the second time a Starship was stacked by the Chopsticks? Pepper Ridge Farm remembers. And a $100 super chat from Anthony Lasego saying, keep up the good work. Make this summer extra special. Post C19. Oh, COVID-19. That's it. Is going to be off the hook. There you go. I was like, what is C19? But it's the bad thingy.
Yeah.
I thought it was a plane.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, what's the C19? But thank you very much for the support, Anthony. That means a lot there. And Tim Fields with a question. I don't know if we even know, at least I don't know the answer. How many employees does NASA Spaceflight have?
Oh, my word.
It's always a tricky question because there's so many people that help out.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm filling out rather slowly, but I've mostly filled it out. We've got an About Us page where I've been putting as many of the team I can on there. We've still got the moderators putting there and what have you, but let me find a link to it and I'll put it into chat. And that just shows me people are involved at various levels. We're all part of a team, so I hasten to say different levels. It's not different levels at all. There we go. There's a link in chat. And that's got links to people's Twitter accounts and email addresses if you want to get in touch and things like that. And we're always looking for more people, more talent. So if you've got a talent that relates to what we do, by all means, get in contact with us. And the contact info is at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember Chris made a forum post saying, hey, we need new writers. I'm like, hey, I don't really like writing, but I'll try it.
Yeah.
And look where I am now, 4 years later.
I'll tell you what, pretty much everybody who works with us has come from basically just finding the site or knowing about us, read a site, and just from there. We've not like put adverts in the New York Post or anything like that, nothing like that. It's amazingly self-generating. And I've always said it before and I'll say it again. I could have basically just come into this with like $2 million from some investment company, I don't know, I can't imagine having $2 million, and basically just trying to headhunt people. I would not have anything close to the amount of talent we've got in our team that we have just from self-generating it. I guarantee you that's the case. So it always makes me sit back and think, how often, but I'm extremely grateful for it.
I'm just
I was
noticing
gonna do
here.
a big cinematic zoom out thing there, and then there was a drone, and I was like, oh, drone, and I stopped the zoom. So,
I was going to say, look at all the stars in the background.
yeah, isn't that cool?
That's neat. But Mike Hatfield here with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Mike. Really appreciate that. And from Peter here, Peter J. Shaw for the $5 super chat. With so much division in this world, this channel's offered a point of unity. Commentary team proves it. Different generations, cultures, yet united. And I could not agree more. Is absolutely, because it's just something we can all be excited about. There's really not much division that can happen here because it's just rockets. How can you get mad about rockets? It's just so cool. And I agree totally. This is a point of unity for sure.
It is, yeah.
I mean, just look at that. How can you not be excited at that? That just looks so cool. That looks so weird.
Especially this vehicle. This vehicle represents hope.
Yeah.
I may be getting... I mean, I can't be fluffy. I'm Yorkshire. It's very hard to be fluffy when you're from Yorkshire. But it is. It is hope. It really is, because this vehicle, as I said before, has the goal of making life multiplanetary. That is a changer for our species. And that's hope as well, because that gives us that plan B we need. It takes away a single point of failure for the planet. It's incredible when you think about it. If you sit back and think about that for a second, it's a lot more than maybe people appreciate when Elon says he wants to make life multiplanetary. It's a massive thing that in hundreds of years of time, hundreds of years in the future, people will look back on and go, thank goodness he thought of that. Thank goodness that one person, Elon Musk, said this needs to be done and was driven enough to make it happen. I can't understate that enough. I can't understate that because it really is an important thing.
Agreed. Yeah, this is big. Like, this is how humans are going to leave this planet, at least in some form similar to this. And that's like it's so weird to me. I'm gonna watch humans walk on another planet in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. I don't know if I myself will ever be able to walk on another planet, but it's gonna be cool to watch the species just move out like that. Very cool.
All right, I think we got... Do we get most of them there, Ian? Almost all of them?
Got 2 more left.
All right.
And Baby Yoda Velocitas, interesting name, with the $20 super chat saying just simply, thanks for the excellent coverage, guys. And thank you for the support. And Musical Wolves, Stars for Starship. And yeah, that's a great shot right there. Stars for Starship.
Yeah. I sort of like this shot here. I mean, I know it's got a little fisheye compression bending happening, but this is sort of a cool shot. So.
Yeah.
By the way, if we ever miss a super chat, it's not on purpose. It's simply because we run out of time and the queue doesn't build up instantly. So if you ever get a question you've not answered, DM me on Twitter. I've got open DMs. I will find you in between all the spam ones eventually. But by all means, use that and I'll answer the question there.
And last but not least, from Tony, asking, do you think SpaceX is going to use Starship semi-disposably to launch Starlink and keep attempting the landings in the ocean like early Falcon 9? I think yes. That seems to be the plan for right now. Just do an ocean landing, just test it until you get it successful, and then grab it with the chopsticks. And that wraps up our super chat queue. Thank you for the support, everybody. It really means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Excellent. Yeah, James Jury, we appreciate you as well. Thanks. There's like a little door hanger there, but thank you so much for stopping by and being somebody who watches the stream. I recognize your name from chatting sometimes, so we appreciate the support. I do believe that's what we wanted to cover here this evening. We wanted people to know what was going on with the full stack, and we wanted to get a commentary stream here so we could do some Q&A, answer some questions. It sends out notifications, so maybe people that aren't watching the 24/7 streams know what's going on. I know not everybody's on Twitter and everybody's over here and there, and sometimes it makes sense to just spool up another stream so we can tell y'all what's happening. But I do believe that is going to bring us to the end of our coverage tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back around and say thank you once again to everyone that is involved. Starting with Mary. Mary Boca Chica was out there in the field. She actually spooled up her camera. We had that view of sort of the caged Starship for a little bit there, but Mary is out there just about every single day recording history, documenting what's happening, and helping share it with the rest of the world. So if you haven't yet, make sure you toss a follow to her on Twitter. She is, of course, Boca Chica Gal. We refer to her as Mary around here. Sometimes you'll hear us here. But a massive thanks to Mary for being out. Also, Nick and Sweeney was out today as well. Nick is another photographer that we've got out there just about every single day helping document and share what's going on at Starbase. So massive thanks to Nick for all that he has done, including the number of bags of rocks he's carried to robot installations for us. Sometimes it's not all cameras and fancy cinematography stuff. Sometimes we just need a bag of rocks to move from point A to point B. And Nick is always out there answering the call to help with everything that it takes to keep the stuff going. So massive thanks to both Nick and Mary for all their work. Back in the studio here today, you heard the voice of Mr. Chris Bergen, assistant manager, actual managing editor.
I got demoted.
Oh, no, did you get the memo? I left you a memo on your desk.
Oh, no.
Managing editor for NASASpaceflight. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Again, a quick thanks for Mary. I talked about how it all started and how it could not have happened. Mary was out there from the start, and we didn't think of doing anything like this until Mary started sending pictures and videos, and that's how we all started this. Mary is the founder of all this coverage by default, and she's still out there doing amazing work. So again, eternal thanks to Mary for all this.
Yep, I think she was the first one to send in pictures to the NASA Spaceflight forum of a water tower that they were building.
Yeah, she's still there today, Starhopper.
Yep.
The OG of Starbase.
Excellent. Then also on the stream, you heard the voice of me, Mr. Ian Atkinson. Ian, thank you so much for yapping with us tonight.
It was a pleasure. It's always fun, and we got a beautiful end product here at the end of the night.
Absolutely. And then last but not least here, y'all, my name is John Galloway for NASASpaceflight. If you're watching over on my Twitch channel, you may know me as DOS. But across the board, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Remember, we're going to shut down the live commentary stream here, but you can continue watching what's happening at Starbase. Our Starbase live stream is up 24/7. Also, there's a booster in port. Down there at Port Canaveral, we have a 24/7 camera at Port Canaveral watching the booster processing. It's called Fleet Cam, also here on our channel. And don't miss all the other things we do as well. We've got the daily videos coming out of Boca. We have NSF Live coming up this weekend. Going to have a couple astronauts, Dr. Cyan Proctor and Nicole Stott are going to be joining me on Sunday talking about their experiences in space here on the channel as well. We've got flyovers happening at the Cape. A new video just dropped today showing the expansion of the Starship facilities down at Cape Canaveral. All of that is here on the channel, so if you haven't yet, make sure you toss a follow. Even if the live stream commentary isn't your speed, maybe you'll find something that is. But for now, we're going to go ahead and shut this down, and we will see you nerds later. Thanks so much for joining us.
Propulsion continues to be normal. RCP chamber pressure looks good. Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Tango down to nominal.
Flight down speed off. Bring in, speed off. Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.